October 4th, we're back at PN Global News. I'm here today with my partner, Jesse McRae.
Top of the morning.
Top of the morning, right? We're here again. We're blessed to be up again this morning, right?
Yes, we are.
And we got a guest in the house, Mr. Jonathan Bender.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations to you, sir. Glad to see you this morning.
Thanks for having me, man.
Welcome to North Texas, my friend.
Hey.
Frisco, North Texas.
Frisco, my first time.
JB said it was nice coming out here to Frisco today, Jay.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, actually last night.
That's right, you drove down last night, right?
Yeah. Very nice area.
Yeah.
Very clean.
Yeah.
The wife was like, I think we can move out here. It was nice.
Hey, we welcome you now. Y'all go ahead and move on down. We'll like that even more so ourselves.
Yes, we are.
No, good morning. We're glad to be here this morning again. As Jesse always say, top of the morning to all the listening audience and the viewing audience. Welcome back to PN Global News. Man, today we're going to talk about money. What's our topic today, Mr. J?
Man, what do you want to do with my money?
What do you want to do with my money?
And you know, the interesting piece about today's show is that we led out this season with the inconvenient truth. And one of our segments talked a lot about convenient money versus inconvenient money. But one aspect of discerning if money is going to be inconvenient is when you ask that very poignant question. What are you going to do with my money?
Yeah.
As you and I were visiting before the broadcast, we were talking about the fact that many times you're in an environment where you are prepared to talk about your business plan in all of its glory and all of its technicality, but maybe not prepared to answer that very simple question. So I know we're going to delve into that.
Yes.
Yeah. What are you going to do with my money? We all going to be asking that question. Anytime you ask somebody for money, you'll be like, well, what are you going to do with this money? Okay. But JB, you former NBA player, you done been out there in the limelight for years and done a lot of great things on the court and off the court. So I know you've been hit plenty of times like, hey, I need a little money so I can go start this business over here, JB.
Yeah. And mainly from family who have no business plans whatsoever. And I don't even know why they would think an athlete would know how to read a business plan in the first place, right?
We know sometimes ignorance is bliss.
Yeah,
that's okay. That's
so you end up giving
we all got families, so we don't.
You end up throwing it in the wind, man.
Yeah. But I know many times, and oftentimes, a lot of people will come up to you as an NBA player because, you've been blessed to play basketball and made a lot of money and stuff. So they come to you and say, hey, I really got this idea, or I have this business, I really need money. And a lot of times they don't. They don't have a business, even outside of family. The businesses sometimes don't even have an effective business plan.
Yeah, and I think it's people that want to become entrepreneurs and have a great idea, but they've never been in the real hustle of things. Yeah. So they put together this plan, and they don't know how to put together a business plan, a correct one. So they write their idea out, and they have you look at it, and you say, okay, well, where does the end game? I guess when you're looking at something, you want to see, okay, this is the front door. Yeah. How do we get to the money? Right? The money is back here. So they give you the front and they get almost in the middle and you never see anything else. So, how do you get your money back? I mean, this idea is great. It sounds good, but, I know you love it. Yeah. But, how are we going to work this thing?
And we're faced with those challenges quite a bit. We've been building Playbook Investors Network, and that's www.playbookInvestorsNetwork.com. We had been building this platform because there were so many businesses that really were struggling, trying to gain access to capital, and every investor or every bank or anybody lending money, including yourself, you're going to ask them, what are you going to do with this money? And how am I going to get my money back?
Right.
So many times we've been boardroom, whiteboards, traveling around the country, talking to businesses, talking to investors, because the one thing we had to do when we was building this platform was really engage with a lot of investors and understand what they wanted, by giving this money to this actual, vendor public that's saying, hey, I need capital to get my business to the next level. So how many times have we seen that, Jesse?
And here's the thing, going in knowing what the ask is, but being prepared to answer the why in many ways can help you sharpen your presentation for the ask. From a former player's perspective, a member of the affluent community, had some successes at the highest level of sport, converting that to business. What was the challenge for you when you first walked in those doors and were presenting the ask?
I don't. For me, being blessed with the money at that time was probably a curse, because when you're starting a business and you have too much, right? You think you can buy your way into.
We know that.
We know that.
It's almost bad to have. It's almost bad to have capital when you've never been an entrepreneur, because, like I said before, you think you can pay for everything. So it's almost better to have someone who's done it from the ground, not just raise money, but done it from the ground and built a business on your team,
right,
to kind of, show you what to expect, help you kind of lay out everything before you walk into those doors. Now, with that being said, there's nothing wrong with being a total idiot, right? That's how you learn. You go in and ask questions. So I wouldn't
don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know. So
we
go
say
in there
that all the time.
Go in
do
there,
not know.
Go in there,
know.
Put your pride aside. Go in there with your total ignorance, and if you get blasted out of the room, then you know what to go in and tighten up and come back again, right?
Yeah. And that's always the challenge. I mean, as a business, you don't want to hear the no answer.
Right, right.
Because it's inconvenient.
It's an inconvenient truth of like understanding what this investing public might say to you, or this bank, or JB.
Right.
You might say, hey man, I like it, but I can't give you this money because you don't have a plan.
Right.
You haven't even demonstrated to me how you're going to get this money back to me.
Right. And I think most investors, like I say, a lot of people watch Shark Tank right now, right?
Oh, okay. I ain't gonna get on Mark Cuban today.
All right, but here's
who's a friend?
He's a good friend.
But here's the thing: it's like, you almost want to pour gas on a small fire. So if you got somebody that's tending to a fire, they're keeping it oxygenated, they're keeping it going. They just need some gas, right? They got the process, right? They got the process, and they just need fuel on it, and you can see it blow up. Then they'll get money all day.
Yeah.
But it's only a few that have that process. Everybody else has an idea or has a plan that's never been even dug into.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the things we were talking about recently was the organic growth of the business. And I think that's part and parcel to really what you were conveying a moment ago, is having your own capital.
Right.
Yeah.
Putting it in the business.
Right.
Not leveraging someone else's money. But the burden of that is that when it came time to solicit someone else's money, you perhaps weren't as sharp in terms of being able to convey the why, or justifying the why behind the ask. Just the other day, Rodney and I think we were visiting by phone with a fuel service.
Yeah.
And one of the
we're talking about that fuel service.
And one of the conversations that we were having internally before we met with them as an enterprise is, when you consider where this idea came from, and you look at the chronology of events in terms of how you funded its evolution or its growth to this point, are you not, in effect, laying out the trappings for justifying the ask? Because you have invested in that business. You were just speaking about that. But speak now about being at the precipice, right at the table, to say, this is the idea. As Rodney likes to say, it came from a napkin to a whiteboard, to an alpha test, to a beta test. It's been validated in the marketplace. I know we're going to talk about a couple of your significant niche products later on in the broadcast. When you came right to the table of asking for that next level ask, not Series A, Series B, the real money, that six-figure money, what was that like?
I mean, at the end of the day, I think the answer that they want to hear is, sales. Have sales been climbing, or have they climbed for a period of time and then now they're declining off? What's happened in the last 12 months?
What are the macro forces?
Right. I mean, you've done $10 million over the last 7 years, but what's happened in the last 12 months?
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So being able to have an evaluation that's fair, and being able to clearly explain that, okay, this amount is going to take us to this next level, and how is this amount is going to take us to the next level? Do we need more salespeople? Do we need more equipment? Do we need more inventory? Maybe if we influx this amount of capital into the business, maybe we can manufacture more and get the price down, right? There's several different factors, but it has to make sense to the investor to where he can look at it like a 5-year-old and basically say, okay, this makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? It's not a lot of what if and if this and if that and hopefully this and the market is worth this and all that, right?
Sounds like the sources and uses conversation you were having the other day.
Yeah. And it's investors are of many facets. You know, it could be a he, it could be a she,
Sure.
And it's all type of institutions out here. Yeah. There's all type of micro lending, mini banks. Right. But at the end of the day, what are you going to do with this money? Mm-hmm. How am I going to get this money back?
Right, I think that's the main question. A lot of times I've asked myself, in certain predicaments within the business, clearly, would I invest in me at this point? Yeah. If I was an investor, would I invest in me? And if I don't have, you got to be truthful with yourself to say, okay, if my ducks are not in a row, no, I would not invest in me. And understanding that investors are not just handling their money, but they're handling other people's money,
right?
Yeah. Overly, secure about what they do with it.
Right. So a lot of times too, you know, when we ask for this money, and an investor say, well, what collateral do you have? And a lot of times we're not going to have collateral. We just built a business, we started a business, unless you want me to give you this old car I got, right? JB, I can give you this car, man, I promise you. If I don't get this money back to you, man, you're going to have my old car over here too.
Or a percentage of the business.
Sure.
But hold up, man, we're playing devil's advocate now.
Yes, we are.
I'm trying to ask for this money, and you say, hey, you want a percent of my business? I'm like, well, what do you mean you want a percent of my business? I mean, it's just me. What am I going to give up?
And the most precious collateral I have is my intellectual property.
Right. Well, that is value, having IP.
Sure.
You know, having a patent, but I mean, it's different stages. If you got a person that's walked in literally with a napkin, and a person that's walked in with an actual patent, and a person who's walked in with actual sales, so I think it's three different scenarios we're talking about here.
Sure. And you're probably going to present, well, you should present those scenarios, those three different scenarios, to three distinct audiences.
Right.
You know, I know you've got a big question coming up that all of our viewers want to hear. I got to get mine in first, though.
All right.
I got to get mine in first. So throughout this broadcast, I know we're going to talk about your beginnings and your evolution as a pro.
Yeah.
But I want to come back to one thing, because this could also determine or influence how much risk capital is available when you go to launch this idea. Man, what did you do with that first $1 million?
Oh, bought everything. You're talking about basketball-wise, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You might ask that question a bit louder. What we gonna do? You gonna hit him up? Okay, what did you do that first $1 million, JB? But what we're gonna do is we're gonna come back after the break. Okay. We're here with Jonathan Bender, former NBA player, also a good partner of ours, and my partner Jesse McRae and Rodney Woods. We'll be back after the break.
In a moment.
You have pre-diabetes.
Pre-diabetes? I don't have time to eat right or exercise. I'm a busy mom.
Oh, you're a busy mom.
Yeah.
This is great news. Busy moms never get pre-diabetes.
Wait, what?
Let me just... Yeah, this is all the people at risk for pre-diabetes, and way over here, busy moms. No?
All right, we're back after the break. Welcome to PN Global News. Our partner, Jesse McRae.
Hello, hello.
And our guest, Jonathan Bender,
yes,
former NBA player. But Jesse already hit him up for $1 million, y'all, so I want y'all to know.
It was purely on the improv.
He already hit him up for $1 million.
Purely on the improv. Because we can tell you about some sources and uses for the next $1 million. But, many times I think what gets lost with any entrepreneur, but especially one that comes from the transition that you did. Successful athlete, had real reputation in the marketplace, and you had the most precious of all things besides your sound mind and body, was your own risk capital.
Right.
But one of the influencers of how that risk capital will be utilized at some point is one's own ambitions and desires for toys. So my question is, okay, what did you do with that first $1 million? And the reason I ask that, and I deliver it with humor, is because that first check from those of us that consume the sport is the fun check. But there can be certain events that could affect that check or the outcome of that check.
Yes.
Because now that check that was a fun check It's having to fund other things that we thought other checks were going to cover.
Correct.
So with that first $1 million, what did you do? And then looking back on it, would that have gone into your business?
Okay, so so the first $1 million, I'm 17 now.
Wow.
17,
that provides some real perspective.
18, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, you've been living your single parent,
sure.
mother,
sure.
single parent,
sure.
watching her struggles. First thing you want to do is you're going to buy your mom a car, you're going to buy a house, right?
It's a preemptive. Everybody respects it.
That's done.
Yep.
Sister, brother cars.
Yeah.
Myself cars. Just a lot of just throwing away. Never really educated about gift tax.
Yeah.
Things like that come hit you later and stuff like that. But just making sure that I was comfortable and the people around me were comfortable. Really the wrong way to go about it. But that's what happened.
Yeah, because there's no book for dummies for that.
It's no book for dummies for that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And nobody wants to tell, you call a guy who has a lot of money king if he's in the family, right? You never want to tell a guy how to do things, even if you know better, because you may not be able to get something that you may need from him, right? So, you kind of put into I wouldn't say bad situation, but it's kind of a situation by yourself to make decisions for all these people who are needy around you.
And I'm glad you went there, because as an athlete, you were leveraging your ambitions to achieve a high level of success.
Correct.
And now you have, in this context, family that are leveraging those ambitions and that success. But what you said is so key, in that you, in that particular vein, you were making decisions, thinking about other people. As an entrepreneur, leading to the ask, getting to the sources and uses, in some respect, you're having to be prepared to convey your intentions for the other people in that enterprise.
Correct.
Skilled workforce, technical depth, qualitative breadth, all driving toward a return on investment and a return of their money.
Correct.
So when thinking about the two sets of circumstances, how important was it, if it was at all, to take your mindset then, realizing what you'd learned from being 17 going on 18, and then being prepared to engage another audience with that kind of perspective?
First of all, never give away anything. I don't care how close they are.
Wow.
I don't care if it's your mother.
Wow.
Don't give away nothing.
Wow.
Right? If a person has a plan and they're qualified, right? And maybe they're 80% qualified and you have the other 20%, then maybe you go with it. I don't care how good the idea sounds, right? And moving that on to today, right? I think it all comes back to, if you're going to invest it into your business or you're investing in somebody else's business, to always see the return, clear as a freshly Windex glass.
Yeah. or just know, or just know that when you give this, it's not coming back.
Right.
There's
the risk exists.
The risk. There's a risk associated with every deal.
Right.
There's sometimes it's just not coming back, and you know that with family sometimes. But that's kind of part of that inconvenient truth of understanding this is family. Yeah. And it's not going to come back. But I understand it's painful.
Yeah.
It's very painful, because
it was very painful to cut all that off.
Yeah.
Right. You got family members get used to you giving them money, and then one day you say it's not coming anymore.
It's enough. Enough is enough.
You can lose some uncles like that. lose some folks like
and
that,
invites to barbecue.
Invites to barbecue, man.
Yeah, but it happens. It definitely happens in the athlete entertainment world, or even people who come into money. The lotteries and stuff like that. People come to you and say, "Hey, I really need this money to do X," and you're funding their dreams too, and it's just. That it's a risk associated with every dollar you give to anybody. I don't care who it is. It's a risk associated with it. Either A, you're going to get a return, or you're not going to get a return.
Right.
It's just kind of black and white when it comes to that, right?
Right.
It's just what we try to do now in business, and you now have fast forward from 17 on to the day.
Right.
You've learned.
Seems like yesterday, but it's a long time.
I know, man. You sit back and like, man, if I was 17, 18 now, knowing what I know today, we probably won't be sitting here today. We all billionaires anyway.
Hence what I know all of our grandparents probably said to us, that youth is wasted on the young.
Youth is wasted on the young. That's interesting.
You know better.
Yeah, J-Mac got the sayings now. He got the sayings. He got
wasted on the young.
He got the J-Mac on his sayings too. But no, in business, and as we look at every minority business, woman-owned business, government business, LGBTQ business, majority business, there are so many companies here today in our society that are looking for capital. And everybody's trying to scale and grow their business. But you always know that everybody walks through the door, there's a risk. There's just a risk associated with every deal that walks through the door. It's just now you got to define this risk and make sure that you answer that question to what are you going to do with this money? How are you going to get this money back to the bank, to the investor, to Jonathan, to Tracy, or whomever, right? So those are the things that we try to do, moving forward from an educational standpoint, with Playbook Investors Network. And so far, so good. We got to keep getting this word out.
Absolutely.
We got to keep making sure that the listening public and the investing public and vendors understand that there's a risk associated with everything. We just got to make sure you understand the steps you need to take when you ask for the money, because Jonathan wants to know, what you going to do with my money when I give you this money? How's this money going to come back?
And what's interesting is that we're posing this with you being the investor.
Yeah, and we're going to pick on you too.
We're going to pick on you a little bit.
We know you've been through money and got money and got a business too, which we're going to keep talking about as well.
One of the things that we always try to make sure that we cover whenever you visit Playbook Investors Network is that you want to come away with something tangible. The most important tangible topic, if you will, to come away with when you visit our site or you engage any of our third-party service solution providers is that you want to make sure that you're abundantly clear about your product, that you have a narrow but quantitatively sound approach to the marketplace, and that you are able to convey every dollar, whether it be monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, annually, through your pro forma. The best way to do that, as we've mentioned before in previous shows, is to at least have a firm grip on three statements: the balance sheet, the income statement, and the statement of cash flows. Those three documents, among others, should allow you to clearly convey the qualitative aspects of your business plan, convey the quantitative risks associated with your projections, but at least exude the confidence of your audience that you want to show them, to our guest point, how to articulate or flow those dollars through that pro forma to show them a return of a finite end, which hopefully will be the return of their principal and a competitive return on their principal. Would you agree with that?
I agree. Absolutely.
So we're going to move JB forward from the 17-year stage on to today.
Yes.
So the things that you would have done, when people came to you and asked you for money would probably, it would be very professional, obviously. But there would be things that now you would do differently, much differently than what you did back when you were 17.
Right.
And some of those things that you would do today would be things like what?
Today, first, I question everything like 3 or 4 times, right?
Right.
So if I have, a company that's nice in size, that's wanting to sit down and talk to me, first of all, I feel like they're playing on me or they're preying on me. Because obviously I'm a former athlete. I have not been in an investment arena for 20, 30 years. So why have you ended up here with me, right? So
and we'll play devil's advocate with you because because they have a relationship with you.
Right. Okay. They have a relationship with me, but that's still my question of why are they here at my table, right? Obviously, I don't know everything that they have going. It's a big company. If it's a smaller deal, right, then I can kind of grasp it and understand it. But if it's a huge deal, that's the first thing that I question. Right. And then the second thing is to bring somebody that has been involved with that business, that sort of business, that's actually made money in that game, and bring them along with me to assess what this is.
Right. So you'll bring a subject matter expert.
Yeah, a subject matter expert, or someone that I know. If I don't know anybody that's making money in what they're doing, that can pick them apart, right?
Yeah.
Then it's no way for me to pick them apart. They can just tell me whatever.
Right, because you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
Right. And we talk about that quite a bit. You know, we always, part of our secret sauce is always deploying, you know, subject matter experts to our platform.
Correct.
Because we need subject matter experts in every industry, because we don't know every industry. You know, even when it comes to the financial industry, there's certain things you know and certain things you don't know. And you can bring a seasoned person who's been in the game for 20, 30 years, run circles around you, be like, wow, that sounds great. Man, you know what? I'm going to write this check for that million, right? But it may not be the right deal for you. And we get that. But, and so you say you had a third thing that you would probably say.
I mean, that's about it. I mean, I need to be able to see it all the way through. It's almost like, you know, I can relate it back to a simple product or a basketball game, right? If someone is telling me, hey, you know, I want you to invest in this game that I've never played before, right?
Yeah.
But if you bring me along, I can show you that game. Right? It makes perfect sense. But if you got somebody who's never played, it's hard to kind of, you know, get your mind wrapped around what's going on and how this is going to work.
And you're tossed, you know, as an athlete, and also, you know, being with you guys for so many years, you're tossed in so many different scenarios that you really don't know, you know, what it really is, what the product really is. You heard about it, you saw it on somebody's, you know, back, you saw Jesse's jacket, but you say, I don't really make clothes, you know, but I want you to invest this million into a manufacturing plant that we can go make more jackets what Jesse's wearing, you know, that kind of stuff. And you really don't know.
You really don't know.
You know, so the ask is always say, hey, I really need you to put this million, this $2 million or $500,000 or $250 into this.
And then I think, you know, it's a different scenario if you got contracts, right? You don't have to know the business, but if that end source, that buyer, right, they have a contract that's legitimate and that they can confirm, then you don't have to know the business. You can get in there and do your due diligence and make sure, have somebody do due diligence for you to make sure the operations is right so they can flow through and they can, you know, make sure that buyer is getting what they're paying for. Well, but you want to put that, then that's different.
Being that we've been in the game a long time, we can bring you contracts.
Oh, yes, we can.
Some contracts are not always what you think they are. So there's a lot of times that we've seen that over the years as we were building and going out doing due diligence and scrubbing different companies. Some contracts are not what you think they are until you really read through everything, you understand what it is, and that's what they call, you know, factoring or micro lending. You know, you can get your contracts paid up front because you're gonna get the money, you know, 120 days later and all this other stuff. So it's a lot of variables in between the contracts to understand getting that money. So we understand what that means sometimes, right? But I mean, you know, you being in the game, now out the game, now you have your own business. You know, and we want you to expound a little bit on your own business because now you're seeing all the pitfalls you got to go through to raise money to get to the next level, you know.
Right. So I decided to invest in myself. And I think that's a very good route for athletes because not knowing that whole game and the entrepreneur game, it's just like a sport. You have to get in there and you have to dedicate time. You have to respect the game. Just like they say in basketball.
Oh, you got to respect the game now. Yes, sir.
So you're just not going to come in there with a big pocket and say, okay, I'm going to be honest. No. You got to respect the game. So I started off with prototypes. I started off selling prototypes. Right. I wanted to make sure I can sell my product. So I sold myself over 1,000 units, myself of my own product. Before I went over to manufacturing and things like that. And I hit a lot of pitfalls. That helped me understand how I can do it over and over again. And
well, that's quality control 1010101. If it's got a flaw, you're gonna find it from the bathroom to the kitchen.
You're gonna find it. But
so what we're going to do? Hold that thought. We're going to take this break right quick, and we're gonna come back with Jonathan Bender and Jesse McRae and Rodney Woods. We'll be back after the break.
In a minute.
School's over. What's next? Imagine a place where friendly faces say hello. You grab a healthy snack, have fun, and play a little. Imagine a place where you get lost in a book, get help with homework, or learn in the computer lab, where you create something cool. kids take the stage. And you get some exercise. Imagine a safe place where you hang out with friends. Your voice matters, and someone's always there to listen. A place where you like spending the afternoon. And you can't wait to tell someone all about it. The club is a fun, positive, and safe place to grow. A place to become anything you dream. Boys and Girls Clubs. Great futures start here.
All right, welcome back. PN Global News.
Welcome
October
back.
4th, in the studio with Mr. J.B. Jonathan Bender, former NBA player as well as a business owner. And we were talking about JB's product and JB talking about the pitfalls that he's actually gone through and getting his business to the next level. So let's continue to talk about, you know, your business and the pitfalls that you went through while trying to scale your business. And by the way, the business is awesome. I'm letting you know.
Yeah, the product is
awesome. He saved my life with his product. Because I was actually going to get surgery, right?
Yeah.
And you was like, man, Rodney, just give me 2 days, man, and wear this product. You won't get surgery. You be up walking right.
There you go.
And I'm a true walking testimony. But I'm going to let him tell you about it, and I'm going to keep on saying, hey, you need to get this product.
And let's make sure we convey that was a shameless plug, non-endorsed plug, okay? But the product is the real deal. So please, tell us about it.
Yeah, so, you know, as an athlete, you end up with injuries. I was actually pushed out of the NBA because of my knees. I have what you call bone-on-bone chronic arthritic conditions. So my bones touch when I walk. So my job is to make sure that never happens, right? And that's how most people get crippled and to the point where they have to have replacements. So I was able to take my creativity and create a business out of that. And through funding from the Indiana Pacers, paying all of these high-end physical therapists, I got a lot of education, street education from them.
Right.
And I was able to create an apparatus that actually worked and did a lot more than I thought it would.
It works.
Yeah. And after getting studies from several universities and when you start building prototypes of something and you give them to people and they offer you $500 for them, you know you got something.
Yeah.
Right?
You're being validated.
You're being validated in the marketplace. So my job was to figure out, okay, how do I take this from 2 devices to 100?
Okay.
Right? I was using the street smart. I don't want to come out and say, okay, let me go raise some money and get 1 million of these and have them stuck somewhere.
Right.
Sales process.
Right.
So, you know, I had 100 of them just sewn up. I mean, it could be simple stuff. You don't have to have, if you got a product idea or anything, you don't have to get this thing made. I mean, you can get it drawn in 3D CAD. You can make it as best as you can, as long as it works, and show somebody, show a couple people, get pre-orders.
Right.
So I actually got orders. I sold out of my 100. I got 200 sold up.
Yeah.
Sold out of those.
Right.
And then I moved over to trying to understand manufacturing, right? I ran into a guy playing golf, older guy that was into manufacturing over in China and whatnot. And he got me a quote for my little prototype that I was selling. He got me a quote for it so I can get it boxed up and get it packaged up the right way to get it ready for retail or the sales process.
Wow.
Went to that point. Now that I got product coming, how do I get rid of it? So I'm not into retail, any of that stuff. All I know is I'm going to walk into a store. So that's what I did.
Right.
I walked into a Relax the Back store. You guys probably seen them across the country. The manager has a bad sciatica problem. Told him about my product. And I didn't do much selling because it worked. So I said, okay, get in this. His sciatica was taken from about a 9 to about a 3 within the first
significant.
5 minutes. He bought it.
Yeah.
And then I ended up in all the Relax the Back stores. Then I ended up understanding the heartaches of retail.
Right.
So as I'm walking, I'm just hitting brick walls because, you know, there's not really a lot of mentorship, especially where I'm coming from. I didn't know anybody that took a product to retail or that made millions off an idea. So I'm just walking and hitting walls and then going around and setbacks and stuff.
You just didn't know what you didn't know.
Didn't know what you didn't know. So I'm in this Relax the Back deal. They're selling my product. And sales was screaming. I was going on these shows, pushing traffic to the stores, and they're selling. Then sales kind of dipped off and went this way. So I went into to the business and just to understand what was going on. Then I understand how commissions work.
Okay. Right? Yep.
The salespeople within those stores, they had to make money. And my device is a less than $300 product.
So the margin wasn't there.
So the margin wasn't there for them to make money. They would rather sell a $10,000 chair.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So now you have to figure out how to, different sales channels. So then I changed and became a salesperson and started to investigate different sales channels because I understood the product is important, but the sales channel is even more important.
So you had an epiphany called cost of goods sold.
Oh man, come on, man! Money's an epiphany called money is sitting. Right? Money is sitting. So just like we talked about earlier, a lot of these companies that come looking for money, it's like where is the sales process, right?
Right.
It's like the product people process.
Right.
Where's the process? You got the people, you may have the product. Where's the process? How you gonna sell it? So I kind of got into it with some people that were in the direct response world. And I really like that as a sales process because it doesn't cost much and you can really get an answer if a product is going to work,
right?
In a short period of time and really get that thing out and blow it out. So I've been within that journey. We've helped over 5,000 people nationwide, get rid of knee, back, hip pain, sciatica, get that mobility back. We help people with cerebral palsy and
that's outstanding.
Multiple sclerosis.
I'm a witness. I'm sitting next to him. I'm sitting up straight.
So yeah,
I'm sitting up straight. Up straight, playing ball in 2 weeks.
So it's been the school of hard knocks.
Yeah.
But it's been a great class, and it's taken years. It's not like basketball where you take a shot and you miss it, you go get the ball real quick and take it and make it.
Yeah.
You can get your success back in basketball quickly.
Yeah. The gratification is more instant.
Right. Yeah. Here, like I say, it's so important if you call yourself an entrepreneur, I call it different classes of entrepreneurship. If you never grinded and you just put together a business plan and say, here, I don't call that entrepreneurship. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You got to get in the dirt, right? If you're in the dirt, I can tell, right?
Yeah.
And it's taken years, man. You got to respect the game. It's taken years. But I've learned so much, and I wouldn't change it for anything. Right?
So like the rap group 8Ball and MJG, 10 toes down.
Oh my God.
10 toes down.
I didn't know he was going to come.
Yeah. Look at you always going to get a shot with Jesse.
10 toes down. There you go.
Yes, but all humor aside, it sounds as though you went through a period where you had validation of the product.
Yeah, I had to get that out the way.
Right. Because now that's tangible. But then you validated your experience in terms of hitting those barriers.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. So the most tangible takeaway for our audience today, is it the barrier itself or the willingness to transcend that barrier?
It's the willingness to transcend that barrier, because once you do that, then you can be more of an investor, right? Because now you've walked the grind. So if I'm here and I've been successful with a product, and I listen to you trying to get my money, I want to make sure that you give me the key points that I've learned as I walk my walk.
Right.
I can hear something that don't sound right, or I can hear everything that do sound right, and I can understand what you may be lacking.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I can maybe invest and then come in myself, because I can fix some of the holes that I ran into that you may haven't gotten to yet, right?
You bring up a great point, and I know that you and I, because we have a lot of these conversations,
Lots.
3 hours. Okay?
Lots.
And really, in the spirit of our recent fund announcement, we have our Verite Investors Network Fund 1 that we recently announced in Florida. I know that you were there.
Yep, I was there.
We had a great event.
Great event.
You made it all the better. But I know that you'll recall one of the really important points that we conveyed to all the attendees was, we want to understand your business. We want to invest in your business, but we will make that investment according to your willingness, Mr. or Miss Entrepreneur, to allow us to be woven into the fabric of your business to help you grow through partnership. You said something a moment ago. You said, hey, my perspectives allow me to hear things that I don't necessarily agree with, hear things that I do concur with, but the key is now, as an investor, do I hear more of what I do concur with, versus what I don't. That still compels me to want to make that investment. And so that's the question for you is, when you hear some things that perhaps are inconsistent with your disciplines, but yet the fundamental business is still attractive, where then do you go from discretion to decision?
I think it's all on the owner, on the people who own the company.
Great point.
Can they be turned, or are they just?
Are they listening?
Yeah, are they listening?
Are they willing to be turned? Are they listening, or are they willing to do the things that it takes for them to do what this investor is really asking you to do?
That growth through partnership.
You can have a great business, but if you have a stubborn owner or it's hard to deal with, then
we call that attitude. Attitudes. Attitudes. You can't have an attitude when you're asking for money.
No.
Right? You
There's
be
a
passionate.
difference between ambition.
Right, yeah. Be passionate about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, be passionate about it. Be very passionate about it and know your business. But the attitude.
Right.
You can't be mad at this man or this woman who's saying no to you because they won't give you the money.
Right.
You just got to be humble and say, you know, thank you. Jonathan, man, I thank you so much. I learned so much by speaking with you and talking to you, and thank you for your time. Keep moving. Maybe he'll see something later on, come back and say, hey, you know what? I thought about that. Let me go ahead and give you this $1 million.
And maybe it'll be too late.
And I hope I can tell him, no, JB, I got that $1 million. I don't need it now. I'm good.
You're in with us now. We're going to grow through partnership. So now we come to one of our favorite segments of the show. Get to play devil's advocate.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I'm going to be what I rarely am. I'm going to be a devil. Okay? Normally, I'm the advocate.
I like the devil's advocate.
I'm going to be the devil.
The devil's advocate.
I'm going to be the devil. So we're going to play on your experiences.
Okay.
But the role's going to be reversed. Okay. So I'm bringing the product to you. Okay. And so now it comes down to me saying, I'm in your door. I'm about to ask for this money, and all of a sudden the chef walks in saying it's time for lunch. So automatically, the mood is turned. The scenario, we got to go organic now. like we're about to go to this commercial break in a little bit. Right. So we walk in, people are serving sandwiches. I'm focused on conveying my idea to you. I got a great product, revenue track record. I have market share. I need $1 million. I've got $1.2 million in. My company right now is valued at $1 million. You give me $1 million, I give you 10% of my company. Mathematically, my company now worth $10 million.
$10 million.
Okay. Do you believe in my business enough to go with that valuation to give me that $1 million?
Oh, you got to prove that valuation. Because if
and
you had
that
$1 million
is
right
the
now,
magic question.
If you had $1 million right now and you're asking me for $1 million for 10%, that don't make sense. I'm taking you to $10 million. And I'm paying a lot more than the previous round. So why would I do that? That doesn't make sense.
Well, we haven't gotten into my revenue track record. We just talked about what I invested in the business.
Okay.
I'm tracking $5 million a year. I'm throwing off 12% free cash flow. So that's $600,000 that's in the kitty. I can show you my balance sheet, and you can track half that to retain earnings. So I've exuded your confidence. I'm leaving money in the business.
Okay.
So now that you can see that I'm leaving money in the business, I still got a solid business model, I'm throwing off low double-digit free cash flow. Mathematically, I've got a $10 million valuation. So is the valuation still a distraction for you, or the fact that I'm being judicious, methodical, and profitable with this business that I'm inviting you to invest in?
Why do you need my money if you're making $600,000 free cash flow?
Because that free cash flow cannot get me the next 10 technicians that I need to add scale to my business.
Okay, so now what I'm gonna do with y'all? So we digging in there, JB. We digging in, JB. Hold on, brother. You with us? You gonna keep riding with us? So we're gonna come back after the break.
Sure.
We're at PN Global News with Jonathan Bennett and partner Jesse McRae. We'll be back after the break.
In a moment.
Hello, I'm Randall Bird. I'm a gynecologist on staff at Texas Health Center for Diagnostics and Surgery. Robotic surgery is certainly a portion of the future of medicine. Through the use of computer-assisted technology, the robot allows patients to have less pain, a shorter hospitalization, and it allows them to return to their work and their lifestyle much faster. My patients particularly appreciate the care they receive at Texas Health Center for Diagnostics and Surgery. The nursing staff always gets high marks, and they're specially trained to deal with patients after minimally invasive surgery. The facility is beautiful, and the food is excellent. If you're considering a gynecological procedure, major or minor, please speak with your physician. And remember, the physicians on staff at Texas Health Center for Diagnostics and Surgery are always available to help.
All right, welcome back. PN Global News, Rodney Woods, Jesse McRae, and Mr. Jonathan Bender. JB3 Innovations, baby. Talking about the product. But Jesse hitting him up with some questions now.
We're gonna JB3.
Yeah, the JB3. We're going to go. Jesse's playing Mr. Devil's Advocate here on PN Global News today.
We're having fun with it.
Yeah, no, we have a great time, but we're all about education. We're all about education. We do the show every Thursday, you know, from what time? From 10 to 11?
Oh,
Jesse?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
10 a.m. to 11. We done about 2 years of shows. I forgot the time.
That's a good problem to have. Getting traction.
But we do it because we're trying to so, you know, really, you know, inspire and educate the investing public, you know, who are looking at these businesses to invest into them, as well as all the vendors, all the minority, woman-owned, government, LGBTQ, you know, minority, majority businesses, that there are things we got to do, you know, to get to the next level, to ask for that money. You know, what are you going to do with my money? We got to be able to give those answers. So we're going to go ahead and go back to that scenario that Mr. J. Mac left off with Mr. JB.
The JMC.
The JMC.
We got some rappers on the desk today, y'all.
It won't get that improv.
But hey, one other thing too. I'm gonna make sure I get that device from Miss Micah too. She's been asked about that device, man.
Yes, indeed.
So I got plenty of people asking me about that device, and I'm telling you, it's the JB3 is the real deal. It is. And I want to thank you too for saving me.
Oh, no doubt.
Because I'm still hooping, dog.
I'm the ultimate hustler. So I go from retail to online to the trunk.
That leads to a whole nother rap story. That's fun.
We might get. We got part two. We got part two coming up for next week, so we get into a little bit of that.
We'll get into some of that. But what we left off is being at that point of distraction between a mathematical valuation based on an assumed capital infusion of $1 million for 10% equity versus the fundamentally justifiable story of a company that's doing $5 million in top line, managing its cost synergies. After all SG&A and even any interest that's contributing to EBITDA, there's free cash flow of 12%, or in this example, right around $600,000, of which you can flow periodically because you're doing a review of all of my financial records. You're showing the consistency of my earnings, the consistency of my retained earnings, which should exude your confidence that I'm going to be judicious and deliberate with how I run my business and manage all the cash flows, including sales and financings of this business. So what we left off is you're saying, or you ask, you're doing $5 million in revenue, you're throwing off just over $500,000 in free cash flow. I'm giving you $1 million for 10%. Why would I do that deal, knowing that you are influencing that valuation? My question is, if the business model is fundamental, why, sir, should that be a distraction?
All right, back up for a second. What kind of business is it?
No. I'm basically selling your product. I said we flip. I'm selling your product. So again, you know nothing other than the fact that it is designed to heal you,
right?
Reel you,
and
move.
And how many units are you moving?
For that $5 million, I'm moving right around 1,000 units.
You're moving 1,000 units.
1,000, and these are large institutions that are buying this particular product.
Okay.
And they've consistently bought this product. The challenge I'm having is scale.
Okay.
Because now I've gone from a major healthcare system. Well, I've gone from a corporation that has earmarked monies for the health and wellness.
Yeah.
And now I'm trying to promote to a health system.
Okay.
So that's going to entail 3 specific things: more product, more salespeople, potentially more inventory.
Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to challenge your ability to sell and what you're pitching on in the future, because I'm not in the future. I'm right here with you. So what I'm going to say is, okay, we're talking 10%. Well, I want a piece of every product sold. I want a certain amount until I get my $1 million back. Then I want to sit with 10%.
Sure. So to that end, if you consider if you consider my income statement, sir, being the fact that when we first began talking, you said that you wanted to help me grow through partnership. Sounds as though that you want a percentage of the sales.
I want a percentage of sale until I get my money back.
Understand that. So if I give you a schedule, do you want a percentage of sales after cost of goods? Do you want a percentage of sales out of EBITDA? Because again, you made this investment to support my business.
It's going to be now. How much cash flow profit are you bringing off of each product after you paid everything? After everything's come off,
I'm throwing off 12%, sir.
You're throwing off
because I have to show you the complete picture of my business. I have to show you where it comes in, how much it costs me to take it to market, how much I have to pay the people to support my business, and any interest charges.
How much are you making off each product? How much is that 12% off each product in dollars?
I'm making 33 cents on the dollar after cost of goods. Because of the fact that I remember following one of your tutorials when I went into the retail store, they were disincentivized to sell my product. So what happened was I went from going with a basis of right at around $767 to having to buy more raw goods so that I could turn around and sell this for $540, which ate into my organic margins.
I want a percentage per product.
Okay.
Right? I want a percentage per product. And because we don't know how much the product is or how much in dollars we're bringing in profit,
Sure.
I'm going to throw out a dollar amount, maybe $10, depending on what it is.
Okay.
And I want to get paid X amount per unit until I get my money back, right?
Okay.
And I want 10% of the company.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Now, if it's if you have any other orders that blow up in between that time, I can take care of those orders.
Okay.
Right? I'll cover those orders.
So you're handling the liquidated damages?
Yeah. Say what?
Well, no. So Jay's trying to throw you wrinkles, man. I'm gonna help you out, dog. I'm gonna help you out. No, say no. You're not taking care of no liquidated damages. Just take
basically damage good.
Right. Yeah, so take your product.
Yeah.
Take your percent and take your. Once you get your $1 million back, you get your 10% on ship.
So
I can't let you do it like that. No.
So here's what.
No, folks. Can't let him go.
See, this is where macro forces can unduly influence.
Because hey, we're a partnership here, so no.
So, again, all humor aside, let's go back. So, I'll acquiesce. I'll give you a percentage of my sales pursuant to these 3 parameters, because I do want you as a growth partner. For 10% equity in my company, I will give you a board seat because I think you should have that. It enables us to be fundamentally sound and for me to honor my fiduciary responsibility to you as a stakeholder. To that end, I will afford you preferred shares, not common. What you get for that, though, whereas you won't necessarily have an influence in the direction of the business, to complement you getting first fruits off my sales, any amount of money over and above a 1.5 times EBITDA, I will give you a dividend, paid quarterly. Okay?
That don't sound too bad.
When you do get the return of your $1 million, I will convert you to common, but now your threshold goes up to 3.5 times because I've taken care of your risk. I'm allowing you to live on the annuity of my business after I've had a chance and my predecessor board members have had a chance to participate in the profits.
That sounds okay, but we have to put a time frame on getting this money back in the sales.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about a time frame on those sales, and if we go past that time frame, there has to be something that happens.
Sure. It's called a waterfall.
For me.
It's called a waterfall. Absolutely.
So if we say, okay, these 1,000 units are going to be sold in 8 months. If we're at month 9, come on, sweeten my beak. What do I get?
If our sales cycle is faster than projected.
No, it's
it declined.
You say decline? My sales decline?
No, your sales projection.
Okay.
If we're past that point.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Of getting me my money back. If it's going to take you 8 months to sell this product, and I'm getting a certain dollar amount off each product that's going to get me my $1 million back, and I'm sitting 10%. If we're past that 8 month mark, and we're in month 9, 10, 11, 12, going all the way into the next quarter, right? I want something in this contract that says at month 9, I start getting something else within this company, whether it be the common shares, things start to shift. Make it sweeter for me.
Sure. So here's what we can do. We can give you a conversion feature. I'll convert your preferred A shares to a half unit of common. And the reason I'm doing it that way is for two reasons. One, sir, you make an investment in this company, the last thing you want to do is contribute to the dilution of your own shares. Mm-hmm. Secondly, while I can't predict the future, here's what I will do as a show of good faith. In addition to giving you a percentage of sales leading up to the 8th month, if we're finding that we're not tracking after the first quarter, where I'm a third of the way there, I'll begin to earmark an additional 25 to 30 cents on the dollar as a reserve to give you some type of cash waterfall attributed to your million.
No, this guy's fair.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And so this is how
Can we agree in principles?
Yeah, you ought to do the shake and agree.
Due diligence, we can agree.
Available in U.S. dollars with my bank. Okay.
So we play a lot of we do a lot of role playing, a lot of devil's advocate, so that the viewing public and the listening audience can understand these are how some negotiations go. Not that quick, of course. Right. We wish it were that quick,
but certainly at that level of sophistication.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
So a lot of times that we want people to really understand this is how things can happen. Mm-hmm. And when people are asking for money, what are you going to do with this money? You got to be able to deliver that answer. Mm-hmm. And today's show is about what are you going to do, with this money, and when can you return my money?
Sure. And so that sales schedule is very important. And so my question for you to convey to our audience is, how important is it to have a pro forma that you've run through all the scenarios from utopia to Armageddon to be prepared for that kind of question?
I mean, a pro forma it shows projections. None of it is right or wrong, right? It's just based on what you think you're going to project out for the next year, 2 years, 5 years. So it's something for the investor to be able to look at, to at least gauge and say, okay, here's our yellow brick road that we're going to be going down over the next year, 3 years. So that's very important to be able to give to the investor so he can see it. Okay, this is what we're potentially going to end up at, right? Instead of not having anything, and you're just saying, hey, this is a
believe in me.
Right. And the projection cycle is of that person, because it's no different when you at Indiana Pacers. You guys were projected to win the NBA championship.
Right. And we're paid off potential.
Right.
That's the only business you can be paid off potential without performing at all on the stage.
Wow. That is a great point to end on.
But you showed they were able to see the dance.
Yeah.
They were able to lick their chops at what could possibly happen here, right? So that was worth paying out a certain amount. Right?
Man, I tell you, boy, sometimes this hour segment goes so fast, man. Yeah. It's already over. We're like, okay, so we got to have JB back like next week again. And I hate to keep running you up down the road to Houston, so you might well go and move here, man.
Yeah, man.
Be with your boys. We already traveling together anyway. But no, man. Again, it's always an honor to have you, JB. To come and sit down and talk to the listening audience and the viewing public here at PN Global News, and you and Jesse going back through the scenarios.
Yeah, that was fun.
Y'all got rap songs together and everything else. So what we're gonna do, Jesse? We're gonna lead with our what, Jesse?
Ethics. Ethics, very important, very important.
Lead with our ethics, and we're honored again. Happy to have Jonathan Bender here on the show. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming.
Yes, sir. It's been a pleasure, man. Really enjoyed it. One more time.
So we're going to sign off here today, October 4th at PN Global News. Myself, Rodney Woods, my partner, Jesse McRae, and our friend and our partner and our good businessman and our former NBA player and our good person overall, Mr. Jonathan Bender.
Thank you, sir.
So glad to have you here today. And so we'll see you guys back here next week on PN Global News. Go out and visit us at www.playbook.investorswithanS network.com.
Best of luck to you.